Hello and welcome to another installment of absurd and weird Pokedex entries. My name is WW but you already know that, and today we are looking at the Generation 3 Pokemon and what the Pokedex tries to sell us as facts about them. If you haven't seen the Generation 1 and 2 videos of this yet, the playlist is linked in the description down below, as well as up on the iCard right now. So let's start with a starter. Blaziken. In multiple dex entries, we can read that it can easily clear 30-story buildings with a jump. Doesn't even need to get a running start for that. 30 stories. That's about 100 meters, straight up, from standing. Do you have any idea what amount of force you need to put down to manage to do that? I mean, I could go into the calculations of this here, but I'm not Austin from the science over on the Game Theory channel, so I'll just tell you, the acceleration you need for this is insane, and if a 52 kilogram Blaziken would actually manage to apply the necessary force to get that acceleration, it would at best faint from all its blood sacking down into its legs, at worst break its bones and tear its tendons and muscles from the absolutely ridiculous forces applied to them. So, last time I said that the dex doesn't seem to know what the mons actually look like, well, that sure applies to the entry for Silcoon. Emerald says, it prepares for evolution using the energy it stored while it was a Wurmple. It keeps watch over the surroundings with its 2 eyes. Are you drunk, Game Freak? Or why are you seeing double? Moving on to Shiftry. According to multiple entries, it can cause winds of 100 feet a second, which is about 30 meters a second, or about the second highest category of storm on the Beaufort scale, or just about breaking into a Category 1 hurricane in terms of wind speeds. All of this achieved using its little fan hands from a Pokemon that's about 1.30 meters tall. It would literally fly off from the force of its own damn wind. But the destruction that brings would be absolutely nothing compared to Gardevoir. To protect its trainer, it will expend all of its psychic power to create a small black hole. Thank you, Gardevoir, for literally annihilating the entire planet for me. A small black hole, as if size matters much for that. If we're talking about actually stable black holes here, even if the event horizon of that particular black hole is comparatively small, it will still have immense gravitational pull, because a stable black hole needs to be about the mass of a star compressed down into a singularity to be stable. So unless you're fast enough to orbit that thing, you will fall right in, along with the planet. And if it's not massive enough for that, it would literally get annihilated by its own Hawking radiation, converting all of its mass into gamma rays, which would probably kill everything in the vicinity anyway, including the trainer and the Gardevoir. Speaking of black holes though, Shedinja. Multiple dex entries say that looking into the opening on its back will steal your spirit. Now let's have a look at what we look at in battle. Oh. Onwards to Loudred. Pokemon Sword says Loudred's ears serve as speakers and they can put out sound waves powerful enough to blow away a house. We're actually gonna make that a running gag, aren't we? I came in like a wrecking ball. Speaking of running gags, Hariyama in Fire Red and Leaf Green. It stomps on the ground to build power. It can send a 10-ton truck flying with a straight arm punch. Game Freak! What do you have against trucks? And I don't think we need to keep on explaining how that is way too much force to be feasible for any living being of that size. And then we have Pokedex entries just contradicting each other again. Nosepass in multiple games Nosepath's magnetic nose is always pointed to the north. Okay, good, then it's just always pointing to the north, that's fine. But Ultrasun says, it moves less than an inch a year, but when it's in a jam, it will spin and drill down into the ground in a split second. So either it somehow manages to spin while its nose is still facing north, or I don't know, one of the entries is lying. While we're on ferromagnetic materials though, Aaron. Sapphire says Aaron has a body of steel. With one all-out charge, this Pokemon can demolish even a heavy dump truck. The destroyed dump truck then becomes a handy meal for the Pokemon. Again with the trucks! Is there somebody writing these at Game Freak with a huge grudge against all trucks in the world? Well, what did trucks ever do to you? What is it with this vehicle vendetta? It is not just trucks though. Sharpedo, Pokemon Ruby. Nicknamed the Bully of the Sea, Sharpedo is widely feared. Its cruel fangs grow back immediately if they snap off. Just one of these Pokemon can thoroughly tear apart a super tanker. Sure, one singular buttless shark can tear apart ships that are longer than the Empire State Building is tall. And not just that, it apparently propels itself with piss. Fire Red Leaf Green, the ruffian of the seas. It has fangs that crunch through iron. It swims by jetting water from its rear. Here we have another repeat. Camerupt from Pokemon Ruby. Camerupt has a volcano inside its body. Magma of 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit courses through its body. That's 10,000 degrees Celsius. Twice the surface temperature of the sun. What is this? Are Macargo living inside that thing or what? Yeah, and design and Pokedex entries not fitting each other very well isn't a new thing either, but still, Lunatone in Sapphire. The Pokemon's intimidating red eyes cause all those who see it to become transfixed with fear. Well... Not really, huh? You can't tell me that you find these wide, open, friendly eyes in any way intimidating. Nor does it have any sort of paralyzing effects on other Pokemon in battle. Some of these are also just really fun to make fun of, sorry. Tropius, for instance, in Ruby says, the bunches of fruit around Tropius's neck are very popular with children. This Pokemon loves fruit and eats it continuously. Apparently its love for fruit resulted in its own outgrowth of fruit. So not only does this confirm that you indeed are what you eat, it also leaves the ambiguous implication of auto-cannibalism. Also, type advantages are completely irrelevant for the writers of these entries sometimes. Glalie Sword says, it has a body of ice that won't melt, even with fire. Hello? The thing is weak to fire? It is an ice type? But that's nothing compared to the agony that Mega Glalie is in. The excess energy from Mega Evolution spilled over from its mouth, breaking its jaw. It envelops prey in its mouth, freezing them instantly, but its jaw is dislocated, so it is unable to eat them. Is it just me, or is Mega Evolution just a form of Pokemon torture? Also, how does this revert to normal after it changes back? But let's look at another blatant lie. Gorbis, Pokemon Ruby. Gorbis lives in the southern seas at extreme depths. Its body is built to withstand the enormous pressure of water at incredible depths. Because of this, the Pokemon's body is unharmed by ordinary attacks. Excuse me, last time I checked, pure water types didn't have any immunities. Not to mention that the Pokedex again contradicts itself on the eating habits of this mod. We all know the Sapphire entry stating, although Gorbis is the very picture of elegance and beauty while swimming, it is also cruel. When it spots prey, this Pokemon inserts its thin mouth into the prey's body and drains the prey of its body fluids. But Fire Red and Leaf Green say its swimming form is... Bad Fire Red and Leaf Green say its swimming form is exquisitely elegant. With its thin mouth, it feeds on seaweed that grows between rocks. So what now? Eating seaweed or sucking other monstri? More unscientific garbage comes in form of Beldam's entry. Sapphire says, Beldam keeps itself floating by generating a magnetic force that repels Earth's natural magnetism. Yeah, that's not how any of this works. If hovering by repelling the Earth's magnetic field would work, we would have a form of transportation that uses that principle by now. Its evolution Metang is just as unrealistic. Fire Red and Leaf Green, it floats mid-air using magnetism. We already established that that's garbage. Its body is so tough, even a crash with a jet plane won't leave a scratch. Yes. Just for a moment. What type is Metang? Steel. What is a weakness of steel? Fire. What usually exists if a jet plane crashes? Fire. Don't tell me that that wouldn't do any damage to it. And lastly, Reggie Ice. Also makes hardly any sense. Sapphire. Reggie Ice cloaks itself with frigid air of negative 328 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 200 degrees Celsius in normal people temperatures. Things will freeze solid just by going near this Pokemon. So basically we couldn't even ever survive catching this. Plus, anytime we send it out, if we manage to catch it, anybody around in the battle and in a general vicinity just shock freezes. I mean, minus 200 degrees Celsius is incredibly fucking cold. Like, at this point, absolute zero is closer than the melting point of ice. And with that, we're done with the Pokemon of Generation 3. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to never miss an upload. I will see you for the Gen 4 version of this eventually, and until then, in the usual daily uploads. Bye.